We're gonna have some fun today. We're gonna go through a bunch of different topics. I'm excited. What
It should be really good.
what's on the take for today? What do you want to talk about?
So the first thing I thought we'd talk about is kind of just the future of work. Like, what is that kind of looking like? How, obviously, like, things like remote work, AI, like, how all that's kind of impacting that and what that kind of, is going to look like. That's probably, I think, the best place to start and just kind of roll on from there. What do you think?
Yeah. All right. So when you say what it looks like to work, coming into 2026, I'm gonna start with high ticket, right?
Yeah.
So I think within high ticket specifically, it's going to be feast and famine. I feel like 2026 is going to be the year of feast and famine. It's not going to be the year everyone's kind of winning. I feel like there's going to be mega winners, and there's going to be a whole lot of losers.
Right. So that's the year that we're going to start to see, like, the Googles and Facebooks of the high ticket world start to emerge, and everyone else, like, the MySpaces and stuff are going to be, and the Bings are just going to fizzle out. Yeah.
Exactly. And even more on the rep level, there's going to be reps that are making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 months, if not more, consistently because they're leveraging things like AI. And there's also going to be reps that are struggling to make their first 10K.
Right.
And it's not going to be because of experience. It's literally going to be who's using all the tools that's available right now and who's learning how to maximize them going into 2026. I'm talking things like your note takers, your AI prompts to be able to get feedback loops so you're getting educated quicker, using it to automate follow-up tasks, admin tasks. Because, look, you've done high ticket, right? How many hours are you spending doing admin and other bullshit?
It's stupid. It's so frustrating. And it's so necessary, though, too, because it's like, just because, like, I come from a background of, mainly management leadership roles, it's like, I know how important that stuff is for all the reporting, for the KPIs, for the numbers, so you can, because what gets measured gets managed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not actually measuring that stuff, but still, as a rep, it eats into so much time that, you could actually be on the call, on the phones, on a Zoom call, whatever, like actually, putting money into your pocket, right?
Exactly. Now, one thing I started to do with, like, for anyone that's using Close CRM, you can go in, and if you use Fathom, you can go and create a custom API key, so it auto-populates your Fathom recording notes already into the CRM, so you don't have to update it.
Okay. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, and how that process, creating an API key, like how long does that take? How difficult is that for somebody that might
10 seconds?
Right, really?
You literally go into settings, go to configuration and apps, click on the button add API key, click copy, go to Fathom, hit paste, and it's set up.
Wow. All right, there you go. Yeah, like I don't even know what API stands for, honestly. Like I've worked in the tech world for a long time. Like, but I could do that. That's simple.
Yeah, right? But like that task alone, that saves me now 10 to 15 minutes on every single call. Because instead of going to do detailed notes, instead of having to take the time to go through that process, it's just done automatically. Okay. And then what I also do is I have like the premium Fathom, so I set it up with the notes that I need to have. So I can actually prompt it and it costs $20 a month. Okay? But I can set it up on what summarization I want it to give me.
Right.
So being a sales rep, I say, what were their top pain points? What was their current situation? What were their goals? What were their concerns or objections? What were the best type of resources I should send this kind of person to further the deal? And that auto-populates into my CRM.
That's golden. And then from there, like, do you just grab that information and put it into a follow-up, or is that automated as well?
That portion, what I do is I take the transcript from Fathom, I chuck it into my ChatGPT that's been trained on my program, right? Trained on all my education. And anyone can do this, right? Like you could do this for whatever you're doing as well. But you train it on a bit of your context, so maybe it listens to 5 or 6 sales calls, you chuck in some of the follow-up messages you've sent in the past, and then what you do is I put a transcript and I said, hey, create me the follow-up messages for me so they're copy and paste ready for me to send specifically to this prospect. And now it's trained, so every time I just copy and paste in the transcript, and it spits me out the follow-up sequences of when to send, how to send them.
Wow. Yeah, so that's cutting down. You said like 15 minutes a call. But like if you stretch that time frame out like to a month, like how much time is that actually getting you back?
Oh, I'm getting back probably 2-3 days.
Jesus, that's crazy. And that's like, that's like the ultimate currency is time, right? It's like it's non-renewable. Like, anyone who's achieved significant success or wealth, they understand that time is the most valuable currency, right? And so if you can do things like that to literally buy yourself back days, like the amount of more things that you can accomplish, the amount of things you can go and enjoy, that's just huge, right?
Oh, bro, it's a game changer. And I guess this is what I'm talking about when I talk about 2026 being feast and famine. The guys that are using these kind of tools, they're getting those extra 2-3 days, right? On terms of actual selling. Now, you put a good closer that's worth his weight in salt, right? And he's closing, let's say, 30% if he's shit, 50% if he's good. Okay? You have 7 calls a day, okay? 7 calls a day, let's say 5 of them show up and you're closing 30 to 40%, so you close 2 of them. Right? You close 2 out of those 5, which isn't bad. Average commission of $1,000. That means $2,000 times 3. That's an extra $6,000 for the month
Yeah,
by being average just because you had more time to do more of your job.
that's fucking wild. That's fucking wild. Like, what an extra $6,000 a month would be a big change for a lot of people. I think a lot of people would love that.
And the other side of it too, right, is like it's the learning, it's the feedback loop. I mean, we talked about this on our last episode with all the AI stuff, so I won't go into it too much, but when you can tighten the feedback loop, when you can actually get advice on every single sales call. Because when I meet up with someone, right, the number one thing, if they're already selling, is they want to look at their call to see what's going wrong, what's going right, how can they get better.
Right.
But now you can, with AI, you can do that on every single call, every single day. Instead of 1 call a week or 2 calls a week, you can have 40 calls a week.
Yep. And as a manager, it's like, that's less call reviews you even have to do, right? Like if you can kind of create a process around that where, you're basically creating feedback loops and then plugging the rep into that. And that, if you have a good rep who's got a high level of productivity, ownership, accountability, then, they're going to be getting themselves better a lot. That's going to buy back managers a lot more time too, right?
100%. And I mean, I know I talk about Fathom a lot in this episode, but the other thing you can do inside Fathom, and it's not a huge thing, okay? Like, there's a lot better, and you're not going to get the level of detail that you want for call reviewing. Like, you want to have a custom GPT that's actually trained on everything, so that way it knows you inside and out. But what you can do is you can have it create a scorecard, right? So what I have it do, I have it create a scorecard for me on following just the structure of the bits and pieces, and it's like, pass, semi, not a pass, right? Did they do it? Did they talk about it, but it didn't really get done, and they didn't talk about it at all, right? So I have it chuck it into there, and I grab all the ones that were less than 50%. I'm like, sweet, these ones we have to review. And then I also grab the ones at the top 10%, and I review those ones. Because as a rep, you don't want to just review bad calls. You also want to review good calls. What did you do well?
Exactly. You want to find out what you can pull from that and be like, hey, that thing you did was awesome. Do more of that,
Exactly.
And I think from a coaching lens as well, me personally, that's the way that I love to coach. I significantly prefer that over just constantly focusing on, the opportunities and the areas we need to improve and all that kind of stuff. But if you can just find the wins and really lean into that and push that, then you're showing somebody, well, what does excellent look like? So that's something they've got, a standard or something to constantly try to shoot for, right? And it's also just a good positive thing, I think, to implement into a coaching call, right? Instead of just focusing here's what's wrong, here's what's wrong, here's what's wrong, now let's fix all this shit. Instead of just okay, you're crushing it on this thing, do more of that, and let's I want to see this in every call, basically,
Well, it leads me into the next thing I want to talk about, which is gratitude and celebrating the small wins.
Yeah.
Because within within the self-development world, right, we're always striving to like get better. We're always looking for those weaknesses, right? Like
Oh yeah.
where are we down, and where do we need to improve on? And like that's really good. Okay, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. But if all you do is you look at the negatives, all you're ever going to find is the negatives.
Yep.
So one of my mentors, great dude, he says something incredible. He says, small wins compound into big wins if you let them. The key word is if you let them.
If you let them, yeah.
Because everyone has wins, right? Everyone has, like, a win could be as simple as I got up this morning and I went to the gym. A win could be I locked in a deposit on a sales call. A win could be I had an interview for a role I really liked. Like, these are all wins. They're not big wins. They're small wins. But if we celebrate the small wins, that energy that gets produced from that, the state of which you are in, that's what levels into bigger wins.
100%. And it's like some of the coaching that I've done in the past, like the best coaching calls, like the structure is always like you start with the wins, right? Because you want to get everybody on a high. You want to show everyone like, how far you've come and where you're winning. Like no matter how small, it's like I've seen, and I've done it myself too. Like, you get on like a group coaching call or something like that, or one-on-one, and somebody, you ask somebody like, all right, let me hear your top 2-3 wins from the last week. And it's like I've done this on the phone with somebody before, and there's just like it hasn't really been anything. I'm like, no, there's been something. You got to find it. 2 or 3. I was like, we're not moving on from this until you give me 2 or 3 things that you've won the last week. I was like, we will literally sit here in awkward silence for the next 30 minutes if you can't find me something. I'm not moving past this. And it's like, I remember that call because it took, like, we sat in silence for like probably a good 30 seconds before he finally was like, okay, well, actually, like, I did this. That was kind of good. That was kind of a win. Like, what do you mean kind of? Like, that's progress. Like, you did something that moved you closer to your goal. Like, that's progress. That's a win. Like, fucking stop underselling it,
And I think that plays into the mindset, right? Because, again, going to the self-development world, which I love. I am obsessed with getting better.
100%.
Alex Hormozi said this great quote. Semi-related, not really. But he said, losers struggle to get started, right? How did it go? It was like, losers struggle to get started, winners, no, can't remember what the middle one was. But the end was, winners struggle to turn off.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's because the thing that you're obsessed with, the thing that you're focusing on, the thing that you're always going for. If you're always focusing on the wins, the thing that you're doing, it's going to compound into something bigger.
Yep. Every time.
Every time. Every time I've had success and had a good month, it's because I had a good sale, I had a good conversation, I had a good start of the month, which allowed me to build into the next call, which allowed me to build into the next call, which, as some people would say, gets you onto a hot streak.
Right.
Right?
And what would you say would be, like, I guess some, like, top tips to, like, because it's much easier to keep momentum than it is to get momentum. But what would be, like, I guess some of, like, your top tips or advice to someone who is, maybe like a stone sitting still? They just need to get momentum so they can just start rolling and then let the, roll down the hill, right? So what would be, I guess, some tips to help somebody get some momentum started?
I think it's exactly what we've been talking about, right? That person that says they're a stone sitting still, they probably do have wins going on in their life. It may not be in business, it may not be in fitness, it may not be in the thing that they're wanting it in, but it's very rare I meet someone and everything in their life is going terrible.
Yeah.
Right? So the thing with business is you can have celebrations and wins outside of work start to influence inside of work.
100%. Absolutely.
Like, a win could be, man, I got to have an incredible date night with my wife.
Yep.
It could be, I got to hang out with my daughter and see her do some really cool shit. Had 5-10 minutes of playing with her and just saw her light up my life. It could be, I got up and went to the gym this morning. I didn't feel like it, but I went even when I didn't feel like it. That's a win. You're doing something, you're making progress. Do you know what I mean? There's like a victory. There's something that was achieved that at one point in your life, if you look back, right, to a year ago, usually if you're in the self-development world of wanting to be better, you look back a year ago and you look and you're like, this is where I dreamed of being, but you're not grateful for being there. You're looking at the problems of where here is now and you want to get to the next one.
And that's the thing I think that people just have to learn to accept is that, like, there's that saying, new levels bring new devils. And it's just like, you're always going to have problems. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're making, $3,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month. Like, every level comes with new problems. So I think the mindset that you approach that with is going to largely influence how much joy you actually have in your life. Like, I think that's unavoidable.
We were talking about this off camera, but do you want to give a little bit more information on like the gap and the gain?
Yeah, so
because I think this is really applicable to this.
Yeah, so The Gap and the Gain. So that's, first of all, that's a great book by Dan Sullivan. Absolutely fantastic read. I can't recommend it enough. But he basically talks about, like, you can kind of live in one of two states, either the gap or the gain. If you live in the gap, that's where you're constantly focused on this gap between where you are now and where you want to be.
Sure.
Right? And that's a very... like, that leads to a lot of, like, scarcity mentality, a lot of lack, a lot of, trying to contract instead of expand. It's like a good example could be like, shit, like, money's really, really tight. Like, what can I cut back on? What can I save money on? This, that. And instead of thinking, like, well, how can I just make more money?
Yeah. Trying to pinch pennies instead of creating dollars.
Exactly. And then the gain is where you look at where you are now, and you look at how much you've gained in the journey that's gotten you to where you are now, basically. So it's like, it's really rooted in that gratitude of just like, I've gained this. Like I live in this house now that's amazing. I have this family now, which I love and it's incredible. I have this, this business or this role now, which is fantastic. And, even if it's not producing what you ultimately want, like it's seeing the progress, it's seeing how far you've come, and it's really rooted in gratitude. And I just can't emphasize the importance of that enough.
And I think the side, and you said something there, right? You talked about like roles in business. Now, one thing I hear from a lot of people coming inside of the high ticket space is they're like, well, I want to open my own business, right? Like, why? I don't want to be a closer the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's a common misconception, right? Is someone thinks getting into closing is the end destination. Where I'm a true believer, right? And I know for you it's been this case. I know for me it's been this case. And a lot of you watching it's probably been for you too, or it's going to be. But remote high-ticket sales, it's not the destination. It's the vehicle to get you to where you want to be.
100%. And I think that that's a way that, like, a lot of people don't look at, business that's I think they really should. It's like, one of the best questions I've ever been asked. It was a really amazing mentor of mine asked me this question, but he asked, "How do you want to live?" And I remember I was 28 at the time, and I was just like, no one's ever asked me that. It's like you think about it, especially in school and stuff. You're always going to ask, what do you want to do? What do you want to be?
Yeah.
But when you ask that question, how do you want to live? And you start to actually unpack that. It takes time. Like for me, like at first it was like, oh geez, I was personal training at the time, and I was like, I just want to be able to just train people and not have to worry about like money really. Like that was as big as it went. But like, when you start to actually sit with that question and unpack it and give yourself permission to dream a bit bigger, then suddenly you start like thinking like, okay, well, I want to live here. I want this type of house. I want, this other place. I want to drive this car. Like this, these are the people I want to spend time with. This is how much. This is how much I want to travel. Like this at this level of luxury, like wherever that kind of sits. But you start painting a picture for this outcome that you want, right? And when you do that, answer that question, how do you want to live? Then it's about figuring out like, okay, well, what's a vehicle that's going to get me there, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in Christchurch, New Zealand right now. If we wanted to go to Australia and we went out and hopped in my car, we're not going to get there. It's the wrong vehicle. It's absolutely not going to happen. It's impossible. But this is what's
We're
so
gonna get wet.
yeah, exactly. We're gonna fucking drown. But like, this is, and so many people just approach life with just this idea of like, all right, well, I like doing this. I guess I'll go and do that without actually thinking like, where's that going to take you? It's like if you want to own, like a private island like Richard Branson or something like that.
Yeah.
But you choose to be, a teacher, and like nothing, obviously nothing against teachers or anything at all, but like you're choosing a vehicle that's not going to get you to that destination, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when you answer that question first and you begin with the end in mind, like, Stephen Covey's principle, then you can start to break that down backwards and figure out like, okay, well, what's the vehicle I need here? What type of business is that? What type of, role is that? What type of investments or whatever like that's going to look like to get me there. But you have to answer that question first.
Well, because once you have that question, right, this leads into one of the other things I'm a huge believer of is like you raise your floor. So what I mean by raising your floor is you raise the minimum acceptance of things that are actually going to get you to where you want to be.
Yep.
So if something is now below your floor, meaning it's not going to produce the end result, the quicker you can stop doing those things and raise yourself to a new standard, the quicker you're going to get to the end result. Because most people, they don't rise to their heights and their dreams. They fall to their lowest standard of acceptance.
Yep.
But most people's standard of acceptance are way down here, and their dreams are way up here. And because they have big dreams, right, which is great. I'm a huge believer. You have to have dreams.
100%.
But what happens is you do this big yo-yo effect. And you go up and down, up and down. But if the minimum of what you accept, the things that are below your floor, and you don't even do them, well, now that gap from this is your ceiling, if your floor is here, well, now the gaps aren't very high. It's a lot less. And you're going to have more of the ups just because you're not doing the things that you don't accept. So in like a sales sense, it could be my standard is I don't talk to less than 5 people a day. If you want to be good at this, if you want to make $20,000, $30,000 a month, you need to be talking to 5 people a day. Okay, like that's just black and white. Talk to 5 people, close 30%, 40%. You're closing 2 deals a day. That's going to get you some of those results you want, right?
Yep.
Even more depending how high you want to go. But within that, if it's I jump onto my calendar and I have 4 calls booked in, I know there's a statistical improbability I will not get to my goal because I am not talking enough people. Now you have 2 choices. One, you can accept it, and that's what a lot of people do. They say, oh man, lead flow's down. Poor me, like ads have shit the bed. They make excuses and they reason to themselves why it's everyone else's fault. But the reality is it doesn't matter whose fault it is. Whose responsibility is it?
Exactly. It might not be your fault, but it's still your responsibility.
Exactly. Because when you're in that situation, you have 4 calls on the calendar, guess what? Jump on the phone, pick up the thing, and call some leads. Talk to someone, create opportunity. Man, I did this the other week. I mean, we were working on the same account, and I was just shooting around just because some of the guys were off on a week off, and I was like, I'll jump into here, have a bit of fun. From not new leads, from old leads, I closed 2 deals that week. From reaching out to 5 people, I made 5 phone calls. 5 phone calls, and it wasn't 5 appointments I set. I literally set 2 appointments, and I closed both of them.
Yep. Yep. Creating opportunity.
Creating opportunity. Why do you think so many people don't do that? Why do you think people have such low standards?
Oh, man. So many reasons. I think
It's a loaded question.
I think today entitlement's a really big one. Like, especially if someone's like a closer, they think that like I should just be closing. Like I should just like show up to a full calendar every day. I'm gonna be happy. That's great. That's how it should work. But it's like, no, like, you are an entrepreneur. You are your business, and like the number one job of any entrepreneur is to figure it out. If your business isn't producing what you want, you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
If you're losing money, figure it out. If you're not getting in clients, figure it out. Like, that's what you have to do. And you just got to approach it through that lens, I think. But I think entitlement, that's a really big one. I think fear is another big one because, I mean, a lot of people, they hate cold calling. Like it's, just scares a lot of people. They don't know how to approach it. Um, Fear of rejection, that's a huge one. But entitlement and fear would probably be the two biggest ones that I've seen at least. And you might have seen a few other ones just because you've got a lot more experience in this realm than me.
Well, I got a story on fear. And I think what most people need to do is they need to reframe the way that they look at it, right? Because when you learn sales, you realize that you never get rid of fear. All you do is you transition and pivot.
Yep.
Fear, instead of being a reason you don't do something, it becomes the reason that you do it. Okay? But let's say there's two roads. Okay? There's two roads, and one road's super smooth. There's not a bump on it. You can go 100, 120, 150 if you want. Like, you can just gun through it because it's perfectly silky smooth. Feel like you're floating on a cloud. And then there's a second road, and there's lots of potholes. Okay? Like, there's heaps of potholes. It's like going off you're from Georgia.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Grew up on dirt roads. I get it.
It's one of them dirt roads, all right, compared to being on the highway. Now, which of those two paths would you choose to go on?
Yeah, you want the smooth one.
You want the smooth one, right? Now, what happens if the smooth one is jam-packed with other cars? And it's standstill traffic.
Yeah, you're going to be...
Which path would you then take?
Yeah, I would take the detour. I'd go down the dirt road. Get a little dirty, but you're going to get there faster, and you're not going to be sitting still. So losing momentum.
Exactly, and this is the thing, right? So many people, they want to take the easy path, and fair enough, who wouldn't? But that easy path is cluttered with everyone else.
Yep.
So when we look at, say, something like cold calling, right? Something like reaching out to leads, which if you're in the high-ticket game, it actually isn't cold calling. Definition of cold calling is someone who has no idea who you are, what you sell, and what you have to offer. In the high-ticket game, that doesn't exist because everyone we talk to, everyone has either opted in, purchased something, or scheduled a call. Meaning they saw us, said, hey, I'm interested, and for some reason the deal didn't close. For whatever reason that is. So it's not even a real cold call. Okay?
Yep.
I prefer to call it an outbound call because you're just picking up the phone and you're calling someone.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
Much better.
But you have two choices, right? You can either go down the smooth path that's jam-packed, what every other closer is doing, or you can take the route that's a little bit more difficult, what I like to call the hybrid route, right? Which means instead of you just sitting there being a princess waiting for calls to come on, you're getting on the phones. You're getting active. But when you do those things, if the end destination is, hey, I want to make $10,000 a month, or hey, I want to make $20,000 a month, $40,000 a month, whatever it is, you're going to get there quicker because now, even though there's more bumps, even though there's those trialing up and downs, it's a road less walked.
Yep. And I think a lot of people as well, like, I don't think they get clear on, like, what's behind the amount, because most people, like, they have monetary goals, like you just said, 10, 20, 40,000 a month,
Yeah.
but they don't get clear on why that's important and what that's actually going to change for them. Like, what's between $10,000 and $40,000 a month, like, what is your lifestyle and day-to-day actually going to look like from here to here? And I think a lot of people, they don't actually get clear on that because of that, it's like, it's just a number. And for a lot of people, that's not motivating enough, but it fits like, like, man, I can take my family to the other side of the world and, take my daughter to like Disneyland and, have this amazing like 3-week vacation or something, at $40,000 a month. You probably, that's going to be a lot harder on 10, right?
Of course, massively.
But I think it's because like people don't have like a why that's strong enough to actually like pull them to that. Like, because there's a saying that goes, your pain will push you until your purpose pulls you. And I think that like figuring out that purpose, that why, is so critical to rising up to whatever that next level is for you, Because it's like if you're in, like a situation where it's causing you a lot of pain, like you're going to get the hell out of that a lot easier than, getting to that next level that's going to give you that, that meaning and that purpose and that fulfillment in life if you're not clear on that.
And I think on top of that, right? Like, or a little caveat inside of it, I should say. Someone that is living paycheck to paycheck, right? Which is so common these days. It's actually scary.
Yeah.
If they get an extra $1,000 of expenses a month, $2,000, $5,000 of expenses a month, whatever that level looks like, naturally they learn how to make just enough to be able to cover it. It's not that they go broke, they're homeless. That happens, but it's rarer. Usually what happens is they figure out a way to make it happen to the bare minimum so they can cover everything.
Yep.
Which is interesting, right? Because if you can make that jump to the bare minimum, you're doing it out of a state of, well, I have to, I need to do it, right? That's the stick.
Yeah, yeah.
The fear of the stick beating you down.
Yep.
But life becomes so much more enjoyable when you can focus on the carrot. And I think as high-performing people, someone that wants and knows they can do more with their life, I know I was this way. I was led by the stick way more than I was the carrot.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But my life was also filled with anxiety. It was filled with stress. It was filled with constantly feeling like I had to be switched on. Like I never got to take a break because if I stopped for a second, I was going to get beaten. And I couldn't allow that to happen. Right? Instead of being like, oh man, I'm excited to make $40,000 a month, it was, oh my gosh, if I don't make $40,000, I'm like screwed. And it's a complete different energy, not just in the goal of where you're going, like we talked about the why, but also how are you living? Going back to your original question, how are you actually living? What is the person you're showing up as? And you get to represent yourself as. Because if it can be someone that's actually enjoying it, be someone where you're going through, you're living your life, but you actually love it.
Yep.
How much further would you go?
And you know what? I think that's actually a pretty good segue into personal branding, actually. So what would be, I guess, your advice for somebody on building their personal brand? Like, first of all, like what even is a personal brand? And how does that tie into, your success, like the opportunities that are going to come your way and how much you can actually achieve?
For sure. So I guess first I'll bust some like the misconceptions, at least within the high ticket space, right? So a lot of people, when they think of like a personal brand, they probably think of a huge influencer that's posting all the time and like has a massive following,
right,
and is selling something directly to their audience, right? Like usually that's what people think when they think personal brand, right? At least that's what I would think of, right? Now, within the high ticket space, it's really just about getting your name out there, showing the process of what you're going through. And I had one of my clients, he listened. It's great when people do this, they listen.
Yeah, I know, right?
Your life will become so much better if you have a mentor and you actually just listen to the advice. It's crazy. But he listened. I said, mate, he was scared to post because he didn't really want to be on social media. He was like, oh, this kind of feels weird. Like, I'm not actually as successful as I want to be. I don't have anything to share. And I was like, no, mate, just do the Gary Vee method. Share the journey. Share what you're going through. Don't try to be an expert at something you're not an expert on. But guess what? You're an expert on your own reality, on your own journey. You're the best person to talk about it.
That's so good.
So he started posting it. He did 75 days straight of every day, just a 1-minute clip, just saying, this is how many calls I had, this is how the day went, this was the wins, these were the losses. And whether it was a good day, whether it was a bad day, he posted it. Now, nothing happened the first week. Nothing happened the first 2 weeks. Nothing happened the first 3 weeks. But on the 4th week onwards, he started having business owners reaching out to him saying, hey man, love your stuff. We're actually looking for a closer. And he wasn't even doing crazy. It's not like he was making 30, 40,000, closing 70%. He was closing 20 to 30%. He was making 10, 12 grand a month. Isn't bad. A lot of people would love that.
Yeah.
But it's not like he was caning it to the absolute top level, which is what I think some people think they have to be before they start posting.
Yeah, yeah.
And because of that, he started to just get opportunities coming to him. Or when he would apply to places, they'd go and look on his social media and be like, oh, this guy's dedicated. And I also want to caveat with saying, I don't think you need to have a personal brand to be successful in closing. I don't think you need to have a brand to do that. However, you also don't need to take the smooth road, right? You can take the hard road. Because it looks harder, because it looks more uncomfortable, it's probably because you're going to get there faster and have better results when you're there, right? So I think the same thing with building a personal brand. Like, do you need to do it if someone comes to me and like they're like, I don't want to get into closing because I don't want to have a personal brand. I'm like, bro, you don't actually need one. It's just an add-on that's going to help and make your journey easier.
Yep.
Right?
I love that.
Well, because think of, I mean, even this podcast. This podcast over the course of the last year has brought me so many opportunities for nothing more than just talking and hanging out with people. Just like we're doing right now. And business owners see it, other closers see it. My network has gotten so much greater. And it's not like I'm the absolute perfect person, the crazy, like I've done some cool shit. But it's not like I'm like closing $100,000 every month for the last 5 years, which some of my buddies who I've met because of the podcast are doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's a cool connection.
Yeah. 100%.
Just because I put myself out there.
I love that. And that's what I think so many people are afraid of, actually just putting themselves out there. But it's like, you know, like your friend that did, you know, posted 75 days in a row. Like, that's such a good example. And so there's something you said in that as well. Like, people were like, you know, checking his socials and seeing that he was posting every day. Mm-hmm. And so they can see like, wow, this guy's dedicated. Like, yeah. I want somebody like that on my team.
100%.
You know, like that's a character quality that like I'm going to look for if I'm hiring. Mm-hmm. You know, like, okay, this person is consistent, they're dedicated, like that's good. Like, you know, if there are skills that, you know, that can always be improved and developed, but those are character qualities that are a lot harder to find. You know, but like that's such a good example. I love that. And I think so many people like they have this idea of like, oh well, I'll post, I'll do all this stuff like when I'm, you know, when I'm there, when I've made it. But like you're never gonna make it. That's the thing. Yeah, it's like the goalpost.
There's always a new one.
Yeah. There's always a new level. The goalpost is always going to be moving, especially if you're trying to constantly surround yourself with successful people. Like, you know, because it's always like, okay, well I'm doing this, but shit, that guy's doing that and she's doing that, and like, you know. And that's where that it gets into that. We're getting down the realm of like comparison now, and that's an absolute cancer. Like you can't let that shit into your life. But yeah, that's a really, really good example of your friend there, I think.
Well, and tying back into what we had talked about earlier about the vehicle. Again, if you're getting into closing and you're like, well, Liam, I want to have my own business, right? Like Walden, I want to start my own business down the line. Like, how is closing going to help? Having a brand, having people be aware of who you are, it's helping that vehicle go further. Because if you can build both the sales skill set, it means any business that you start down the line, you actually are able to sell it. Because everyone's selling. I don't care what business you have, there is a sale happening.
Oh, yeah.
Every interaction.
Yeah, and in life, too. It's like if you've ever been on a date, you've sold. Like,
yes.
It's
100%.
Like every time, yeah. Like you're always selling. You know, you're trying to get, you know, you're 12 years old and you're trying to get your parents to let you stay up late. Like you're selling. Yeah. You're already, you know?
Exactly. And if you can learn that skill set, and then along the way you documented, you built a bit of the brand, you showed the come up, you showed the story. It just opens so many opportunities. Like I've had so many different people come to me. Bro, yesterday I connected with a guy, and I don't have a huge following, right? It's growing. It's something I'm now focusing a lot more attention onto, right? But he had about 70,000 subscribers on Instagram, and he followed me. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He's another sales coach. Pretty cool dude. We jump on the phone, another Christian man. And we were shooting the shit. And he's like, yeah, bro, I liked your content. I like what you were putting out there. Let's connect. Let's see what kind of business we can do together. Someone reached out to me because of the content I was putting out there. And it's like, cool. Turns out he's also coming to New Zealand in a couple months time.
I'll get out of here.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, let's connect. Let's do some type of collab. Like this will be fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Bro, it's incredible. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't build a brand.
And the thing as well, like I think that people have to realize when you're building a brand, when you are putting content out there, is like you're also creating trust, and you create trust through transparency. Like if you're showing people, you know, the good and the bad. And the mediocre, but like if you're showing it all, if you're being transparent, you're building trust. You know, like even if like you're having just a string of just dog shit days or whatever. But if you're still putting that all out there, then you're building trust. Like, it's like people are getting to know you through your content. They're getting a taste of your personal brand through your content because everyone has a personal brand. It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things as well is like, we want to make sure that our personal brand is congruent across. Because I wrote a piece for the IIBA years ago now on personal branding. That's the International Institute of Business Analysts, I think it was. But anyways, I wrote a piece for them on personal branding, and I used this example of somebody that's a friend told me this story actually, but it was somebody that was sitting on a bus. They were wearing a suit, and then they were wearing a hat that just it just had the C word on it. That was it, just a black hat with the C word on it. Just like it was like, what? And he actually asked this guy. He was like, "Hey, dude, like, your hat's pretty offensive, actually. Like, it's really out of character from the rest of you. Like, what's going on?" It actually confronted this guy about it, and like, it was a really awkward moment because the guy got really defensive, like, right away. He took his hat off, actually. So I think he got it, but like, that's a perfect example of an inconsistent personal brand. You're in a suit looking very professional and business oriented, but then you have a hat that just has the C word just plastered across it. Like, that's an inconsistency in brand. Like, someone who's looking at you is like, I don't know what to think of you. Like, because there's this lack of congruency.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really big one is like, who you are in private and who you are in public, like, that needs to be the same. Like, I know that a lot of people hate that of just like, oh, I don't want my private life out there, but like, it's not about putting your private life out there, it's about being congruent.
Yeah, well, it's about, like, it's the classic. You grab a lemon and you squeeze it, what comes out?
Yeah, lemon juice.
Lemon juice, right? What happens when you get squeezed? What comes out?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
love that analogy.
If you're not congruent with who you are and what you put out, I think that's really important, right? Because I don't want people to start making content talking about how they're way bigger of a shot than they are.
Yeah.
Or try to talk up everything that they're doing. Like, guys, we all have shit.
Yeah, it's like, dude, just be real. It's like, like, hey, look, this is where I want to get to. I know that this is big. This is where I am now, and I'm just gonna be real with you guys and put this out there.
Because one of these three things is gonna happen. Either A, the congruency, you're gonna slip up, and it's gonna come out on your social.
Yep.
And then it's going to be a big headache. You got to explain. Someone's caught you out. Okay?
Yep.
That's first issue.
Sorry, just a side thing. There's this just made me think about like, so X has just made this new feature where you can see where accounts are created in. So you've got like all these accounts that are pretending to be like Native Americans or political influence, and it's like they're based out of like Bangladesh or something. And it's just like immediately, it's just like, well, fuck, your credibility's gone. Like, like, you've just got to be honest, transparent, congruent. Yeah. Just made me think about that.
Oh, mate. It's very accurate. So that's the first thing, right? Like, either someone's going to catch you out on some form where you were not honest, or something in your personal life comes out and you were showing a different life online. The second thing that will happen is, instead of someone catches you out on something, someone personal brings it online, you mess up and you contradict yourself. Now, like, and don't get me wrong, people can change opinions. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about, like, you put on this face of, right now the hot thing is everyone leaning into Christianity. And it really grinds my gears for not the fact that they're talking about God. I'm a very godly man. Like, I love my relationship with him. But when people leverage him for their name.
Yeah.
Right? And then they post something that isn't at all that way. And now their brand misaligns.
Yep. Yeah, it's like you're posting something like that, and then it's like, then there's, you out just, smashing coke at a club on a Saturday night and stuff like that,
Exactly. It's like, these are two different people. Now that's a conflict. You have distrust within the people that watched you. Whether you have 500 subscribers or you have 50,000 or 500,000. It's like, whoa, these are very contradicting things.
Yeah.
And the last one, bro, is, let's say you do get away with it. You are able to put this fake front on out there, and you're able to hide whatever degeneracy or the inside of person. Because I wouldn't even say degeneracy. It's like, be the person that you're being online as well, right? But if those two things don't, and you can fool everyone, there's one person you can't fool, man. God knows, and he will do justice more. Whether it be in this life or the next life, there's going to be justice that gets happen, and you can't escape him.
You can't fool yourself either.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like you know deep down, and it's like it fucks with you. Like, psychologically, like, it fucks with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, there's no exception to that rule. Like, people say that, like, you know, that think they can fake it. Like, it's... That has a shelf life. Like, that absolutely has a shelf life. And eventually, like, something is going to happen that's going to break everything apart. Like, there's just no way around it.
And I think we've seen that, right? Like, we see that in the space with some of the influencers, that they had these business, they have these brands, and all they talk about is the positive, 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 right? Because they're just trying to attract everyone in and sell them the life, sell them the thing, sell them... Bro, I think of the first offer.
Oh, man, yeah.
You know what I mean? We won't share names. We're not doing that here. But, like, there was massive incongruencies from what was shown on the front to what was actually going on. And it was destroying it. It didn't destroy it on the front. Like, the image still looked good. But the internal, that team crashed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely imploded.
Absolutely. And it's because there was incongruency. Right? Now, I'm not saying you have to go out and air out your dirty laundry to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a big difference between being transparent and airing out every dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Some things are meant to be behind closed doors.
100%.
But at the same time, you can be transparent about what you're actually doing. Don't overinflate your numbers. Like, I get this all the time because I interview a lot of people, right? If I'm talking to someone, whether it be on a job interview or on a podcast, and they tell me they've done X, Y, and Z, there's a certain way that person, let's say a closer, for instance, I'm interviewing for a role, and this closer tells me they've sold $1 million, right? Which, you know, is a good stock standard amount for someone. If they've been in the space about a year, they should have sold about $1 million, right? At least. And they're like, yeah, I've been in the industry 6 months, sold $1 million. And then I'm talking to them, and they don't even understand what a framework is. They're not even understanding how to handle a simple objection. I asked them to run me through what a call flow looks like for them, and they don't have an answer. It's now a mismatch. If they would have told me they were brand new and a beginner, I would have still given them a shot, right? If they came hungry, willing to learn, wanting to get out there, but because they told me they were this great thing, and when I tested it, they weren't there, it lost all credibility, where now they're blacklisted. They will never take a job with me.
Yep.
Because there was incongruency.
Yeah, they're trying to take the shortcut.
Yeah. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Like, there's, like, you've got to do the work. Like, the work is unavoidable.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the gap between, because, you know, one thing that I've heard before that I really love is that, like, you know, change doesn't take time, it takes a decision. And I love that. That's where it starts with. It takes a decision. But then the gap between, you know, where you want the outcome that the change is going to lead to is work. Yeah, work and time. You know, it takes the decision. Without that, nothing, you know, this isn't happening. Like, you're not getting to this, right? But between that is time and work. It's just, there's no other way.
Yeah. Well, Walton, this has been a fun episode. Guys, if you like this episode, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Comment below what you want me and Walton to chat shit about next time.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We'll happily do it. And if you are looking and you're thinking, man, remote sales, that kind of sounds interesting, that might be a bit for me, click the link in the description. You can come have a chat with us and see if it's going to make sense. Until next time. Give me a bicep flex of the front.
Seriously.
Come on. Yes.